Hey guys, Jacalyn here with Zenith Home Loans. Thank you for joining us for another one of our interview series. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Leandra Smith of Sooper Credit Union. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So why don't we kind of just jump into how you got into banking and kind of where you are in your career, and then we'll kind of jump into some questions around home equity lines of credit.
Yeah, definitely. So probably about 15 years ago, I got into the industry as a teller, just looking for some kind of stable income with benefits, because it's been taught to me since I was little that, these are the things important in life, and long term, it's going to be great. So I got into it for some stability, and I've just thrived and love learning everything I can learn about banking. And I've just stepped up and grown since then and got into HELOCs because I was looking at buying a home here, and I just loved learning about it, and I want to educate other people in the same field.
Very cool. And so have you always worked at Sooper Credit Union, or did you start your career in a different banking institution?
I did start. I have been in a couple of different institutions in my career, but I've been with Sooper for almost 5 years now, and I just love it here.
Awesome. Awesome. So why don't we jump into what is a HELOC?
Yeah, great question. It's essentially, it stands for a home equity line of credit. It is a second mortgage on a property in the form of a line of credit. So very similar to a credit card, where you can use as little or as much of the limit that we set as you would like for basically whatever you need during the draw period.
Okay. And how long is the draw period usually?
For ours, it's 10 years.
Okay. So I can keep borrowing against it, paying it off, borrow against it, pay it off for up to 10 years. And then after 10 years, does it close? Do I have to have it paid off in that timeline?
You do not. So you would be restricted for the ability to draw any more funds or to use them, but you have an additional 15 years to repay. Okay. If you wanted to keep the line of credit open, there are ways to do that. We would just have to basically do a new application and requalify, but there's definitely ways at any time.
Okay, awesome. Is the rate or the payment, are those adjustable? Or are they flexible? Kind of what happens around the payment?
They are. So I know rates are in the news quite a lot these days.
Right.
Our rates are based off Federal Reserve sets our Wall Street Journal prime. So they are flexible, and your payments are based off of what you actually use and your rate. So they will adjust as well based on a couple of factors.
Okay. And so when the rate adjusts, are you only adjusting it based on what the Fed is adjusting?
In short, yes. So currently we're slow rolling out to come up to that same level as prime. So prime has changed a lot this year, probably doubled. And we don't want to just bombard and double everybody's rate in 1 month. So we are just stepping gradually up towards that rate. So in the long run, yes, but not all at once.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Can I use the home equity line, the funds that I get from the home equity line, for anything that I want, or is it only specific things that I'm allowed to use that money for?
So once it's in place, we don't monitor or regulate what you use the funds for. There are some stipulations we have for an approval of a HELOC, but once it's in place, it's yours.
Okay. So I can, if I was planning to use it for one thing and then I end up needing it for something else, that's not a big deal.
Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. What's the maximum amount of funds that I could get access to? How does that number calculated?
Yeah, that is such a situational question. I really prefer to talk to people on an individual basis on this, because we are allowed up to 90% of the home value with combined loans between their mortgage and the HELOC.
Okay.
But of course, it's unapproved credit, it's debt to income ratio. It's so many factors that go into that decision that it's just best to reach out to me directly and get a few of those details out of the way before we have that discussion.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is that whether or not is the best way for me to figure out whether or not I even have access to funds is just knowing first maybe what kind of equity I have in my house. So like if I just bought my house last month and I put down 3%, I'm probably not going to be in a position anytime in the next year or so, depending on appreciation, to take out a line of credit, because it's all based on how much value am I leaving in the property.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Got it. Okay. That makes sense. Does the HELOC have to be secured by a property? Is that the whole kind of premise around HELOC? Because it says home equity in there, obviously.
It is, yes. And it
Okay.
has to be a property that you own. You can't take
Okay.
a loan out on somebody else's property. So you do have to be an owner of the property.
Okay.
And yes, so it does.
Does it have to be the house that I live in? Or if I owned like a rental property or I had a vacation home, can I use a line of credit on those too?
You can. There's a little bit different guidelines as to what we do on those, but we absolutely could look at those as well.
Okay, perfect. And then do you guys do personal lines of credit as well as home equity lines?
Of course we do.
Okay. And what's the main difference, I guess, between a home equity line and a personal line?
Yeah, good question. So home equity line of credit, like we've said, is kind of secured by the home. So we typically have better rates and the ability to give you a larger limit because it is secured by your home.
Mhm.
Whereas personal lines of credits are just, you're signing on good faith that you're going to pay it back. There's, like all loans, there's stipulations on how much we can do based on a few factors, but there's no security to it. You're just promising to repay it if you do use the funds, but they're still variable payments based on what you use. There's no repercussions for not using either of the loans.
Okay.
It's just there as like a safety net if you need it for whatever reason.
Okay. And then if I wanted to make a larger payment towards the line of credit at any time, is there any prepayment penalties for me to do that?
There's not. We don't have those on any of our loans. There's no annual fees. It's very simple.
Okay, awesome. How soon after I buy my house can I get a home equity line? Is there, let's say I put down more than the 3% and I put down 20 or 50% or something like that. Can I turn around and get a HELOC right away, or is there a waiting period?
Yeah, so it's pretty much right away. I would say that's, of course, everything's so individualized. It's hard to say for sure, but right away is a decent time to start the application process. We would have to wait until the county records actually show that you are the owner of the property and get that kind of finalized with what your closing documents were for. So
okay,
yeah, it's doable. It just takes a few extra steps usually.
Okay. And then how long, like, let's say I go through the process with you to get approved for a home equity line, and you've said, okay, yes, you do qualify based on the information that you gave me and XYZ. So how long from the time that you say, okay, yes, you do qualify for this to the time I can, like, you close or I get access to those funds? Is there a general timeline?
Yeah, I would say 3 to 4 weeks is pretty solid for us to be closing and having those available right now. But
okay,
a few of those factors would be if we would require an appraisal and how soon the appraiser can get to your property, and a few factors that are out of our control because we do rely on some third-party vendors to facilitate some of our items. But 3 to 4 weeks is fairly comfortable.
Okay, perfect. Is it best to set up a line of credit like as soon as I know I'm going to need it, or if maybe I don't know when I'm going to need it, I just think I might need it eventually, or should I wait until I'm ready to actually spend the money?
Yeah, great question. So I always think it's better to have it and not need it than to need one and not be able to get one. So as I've said, there's no repercussions if you don't use it. There's no annual fees. So it's nice, I think, to have it out there for those times when an emergency may come up. Your pipes might break, your water heater might go out, and you don't want to wait 3 weeks to close on a HELOC to get those fixed. So it's always nice to have it open just in case. Okay,
got it. What other kind of products does Sooper Credit Union offer that maybe some people wouldn't know about?
Yeah, so Sooper has a fantastic auto refinance program right now. If you bring us a car loan from another institution, we try to lower your payment. We also give you $200 cash at closing just for bringing it over. We also pay your title fees to move it over. Obviously, there's conditions apply, but we are trying to save members money not only in their monthly payment, but also over the life of the loan with the interest rate being lower. It's a great deal. I honestly did it myself. I highly recommend it. We have low interest rate credit cards. I mean, we do everything under the sun, I feel like, except, student loan, maybe the traditional student loan.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have all of our products and applications listed on our website as well. That would probably give you a lot more details than I can give you at the moment.
Okay, perfect. And then So we've talked a lot about using a HELOC after I already own the property. Can I use the HELOC in conjunction with a first mortgage? So like the work that I do. So can I do a first and a second at the same time while I'm buying the property to maybe like beef up my down payment or just kind of free up a little bit of cash if I don't want to put a full down payment down?
Yes, that's one of the top reasons we're doing them right now, because home values are skyrocketed.
Right.
And so to have the assistance with the larger down payment to avoid the private mortgage insurance, absolutely that can be done. We
Okay.
work very closely and directly with you or the mortgage
Mhm.
lender to do so, to make it as easy as possible to get that in progress.
Okay, perfect. So who can join Super Credit Union? Do you guys have rules around who can join your institution?
Yeah, there's a few rules. Most Colorado residents can join, and if you're not in Colorado and you're a member of a Colorado credit union, you qualify
Mhm.
as well. It's pretty simple. It's easy to join online at our website or stop by a branch as well.
Okay. And then how do I find a super branch?
Yes, we have 3 branches in the Denver metro area: Aurora, Lakewood, and Arvada, plus
Okay.
one in Grand Junction and Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Again, our website has all those locations listed precisely with their address.
Okay. Why do you love the work that you do?
Oh, so I joined with credit unions even before I started working, and credit unions have a common motto, which is people helping people. And that's just exactly what we're trying to do.
Mhm.
It's not about the numbers, it's about helping the people that come to us for help. So we're dedicated to help members with lower fees, better rates, community support. I just love that finalized feeling of doing good for those people that are in
Yeah.
need, just like I was. So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer those for us. Is there anything else that you want to share with everybody, or maybe something else that maybe we don't know about that we want to make sure we cover for us before we end our call today?
I mean, I'm just here to help. If there's any questions that you might have, feel free to reach out to me individually. I think you have my contact information for the end. Um, Whether it's, debt consolidation or just have an emergency or working with you on their purchase, I'm here to help answer questions, even if you don't end up getting a HELOC. I want to be that resource to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time today, Leandra. I appreciate it. I'll have all of your contact information available. I use Leandra on the majority of my second mortgages, and that's who I refer the most. So I know she takes excellent care of my clients. And so if you need help, I know she'll take great care of you too. So thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.